Round 6 brings bikes with stripped fairings to Rockingham Motor Speedway. Can Scott Adam extend his Street Fighter A championship? And can anyone fight off Adam Shelton in the Thundersport 500s? Welcome to Thundersport Naked.
Yes, hello and a big welcome to Rockingham Motor Speedway for round 6 of 2013. 4 to go, including this one. Steve Day alongside Thundersport Sid here for Thundersport Naked +1. Adam Sheriff there, just realising that in order to get racing, the ignition being on is usually a pretty good start to the proceedings. And there is your championship leader overall in the RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes. On your left, the green Kawasaki ZXR 750 of Richard Blunt, and he gets a really good start there. Ahead of that looks like Nick Williamson in second, Rob Wilson in third, who's currently second in the championship, and then in fourth place, the yellow Yamaha R6. That's Adam Sheriff, who we just mentioned, and just behind him, that looks like the Moto Italia 748 Ducati of Lee Longdon, the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Super Sport Championship leader. So they exit Dean hairpin down into the first right-hander on this circuit into Yentwood. Sid, good championship this. We've got a few spaces on the grid, it's fair to say, but that's just due to a number of riders falling off during practice and qualifying, etc.
You're in trouble with having a test day on the Friday. You know, they're all so keen to get going, and particularly here, many of the riders haven't seen this circuit before, so it's a difficult one for them to get used to. There's Rob Wilson there, he's dropped a few points, dumped it of course in the first race, also missed 1 or 2 rounds from previous commitments, etc. So he's got a bit of catching up to do, but certainly Richard Blunt seems on it since he's changed from the S-Rad Suzuki to the ZXR 750.
Yeah, there's a good move there from Lee Longdon as he makes the move on Adam Sheriff, turning in onto the start-finish straight, and Sheriff returns the favour and tips up the inside of Longdon. These two fighting it out in the championship, the 600 championship. So Blunt at the moment in charge of things. Chris Norris not here. Ian Simpson, who we saw last couple of rounds, not here either out there on the Honda RC45. One of the questions I was going to ask you, Sid, is I'm really surprised this season that we haven't had quite so many riders coming to play out on the Ducati 996s, but I understand that as of Anglesey, our next round, we may well have that answered, because a certain half Welshman, half Italian Angelo De Rosa is turning up on a Ducati 996.
Yes, I've seen a picture of said machine, as it happens, and very pretty it is too.
Yeah, well, as I say, just interesting to see how competitive it will be against some of the Kawasaki's. Oh, and there's a retiree at the back in the background there. Someone just going straight on. Was that? That looked like either way, it was a Yamaha R6. Now, I'm not quite sure who that was, but we'll have to keep our eyes out. It's the only 2 Yamaha R6s as well. There's Sheriff. I've got a feeling that might be Sam Nicholson, who's just gone straight on in the background. So Sam Nicholson out of the race. He's out there on a Yamaha R6. There's another one there in Adam Sheriff. He's in his first full season of racing with Thundersport GB. At the moment, though, it is Blunt out front, and there's another rider just pulling over, and that is Ryan Strafford, number 75. He's out of the race as well, so 2 R6s pulling out at the end of the opening lap.
I guess it's the only problem with all these old machines. They all expire every now and again. They're all old like me, Steve.
Yeah, well, they're not that old.
All right, thanks.
There's so Richard Blunt it is that leads. There's a good battle going on between Rob Wilson and Nick Williamson for second and third. There's Lee Longdon on the Ducati 748. He is one of the riders that has chosen the Ducati. He's done very well on it too. As we look further back there at a few other battles, that looks like Andy Chalice. They're all trying to catch up with Jamie Hitter there, number 10, who's currently up inside the top 10, placed around 4th or 5th in the Golden Era Superbikes overall. Jamie Hitter, a rider you know well, Sid.
Yes, yeah, he raced for me. He's actually in front of some people.
Oh, no.
No, it's, he raced for me in 99 and 2000, and again in British Superstock later on in the noughties. But great friend of mine, and yours obviously, Steve. Lovely to see him back, has to be said. And he says he's really enjoying it, and he's looking forward to Anglesey particularly.
Yeah, well, we're just seeing a really good battle here. Rob Wilson is desperately trying. Rob Wilson, number 57 there on the Kawasaki, trying to get past Nick Williamson so that he can prevent Richard Blunt from, who at the moment looks like he wants to pull away and get away with everyone else. Meanwhile, 911 there on the Yamaha R6, that is Adam Sheriff, who doesn't really care what happens in front of him. He is leading the Sparklight Racing Super.
He does though, doesn't he?
But it's a good battle. Nick Williamson really holding his own in this race. There he is, number 6 on the red Honda SP1, and Rob Wilson trying to find a way past. Rob is maybe a sort of gingerly making his way around the hairpin there because he came off there in race 1 earlier in the day. There is Lee Longdon just in the background behind Adam Sheriff.
You reckon? I mean, do you think it's just that he doesn't like the circuit? Because he's won almost everything.
I think it's maybe just the circuit. It's one of those circuits that he might not be used to coming to. Lee Longdon is a great rider. Had a couple of GP wildcards, believe it or not, back at Donington Park a few years back. So I think he's fully capable. I expect to see him back on form again when we get to Mallory. But maybe this is just the circuit that doesn't suit him. It certainly seems to be suiting the Yamaha R6. So maybe he's not able to get all the grunt out of that Ducati. We just see here again this battle continuing and some rather strange lines going on. Rob Wilson desperately trying to find a way past Nick Williamson. Meanwhile, Richard Blunt just pulling away lap after lap. The 3 rounds left after this one, remember. We go to Anglesey and North Wales next as we look a bit further down the grid. And see number 14 there. And that is Brad Davey. And he's just ahead of Chris Mee on the Aprilia. Both riders currently scrapping away for some points further back.
Nice to see Brad back on one of these machines, because obviously he was one of the protagonists in the Street Fighters, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a Street Fighter C champion, isn't he, Brad Davies? So yeah, it's nice to see him out there fighting away in the Street Fighters. But Richard Blunt it is that leads ahead of Nick Williamson, Rob Wilson. In fact, Rob Wilson has just got his nose ahead of Nick Williamson at the moment, and Sheriff is waiting in the wings. Lee Longdon. Rick Owen is also having a decent ride. He's currently 3rd in the Supersport class. Sorry, Steve, I believe that Nick is waiting to go and have an operation, on his wrists. Really? Okay.
I think so, yeah. And he said, I think he might have to sit Anglesey out because of it.
All right, okay, well, look, we're expecting to see Angelo De Rosa coming in, but unfortunately we lose Nick Williamson. Well, all the best, Nick. Hopefully you mend quick, and we'll see you back at Mallory or Donington Park, perhaps, our final round of the season. It seems amazing, Sid, that we're actually at this stage of the season already. I cannot believe that we've only got 3 rounds left in the year.
No, it just seems to have gone by like a blur, really. I'm going to really miss it, actually.
It's not gone yet. There's still plenty of racing left up until the end of October, of course. But since Rob Wilson has got past Nick Williamson, he really is reeling in Richard Blunt out front. There is Blunt, number 13, rider who hails from Elverton. And there,
I hear him now.
Yeah, he will. And there is Rob Wilson. Wilson has had one of those topsy-turvy years, really. When he's on it, he really is tough to stop, but he's slightly inconsistent at times. He's had a few tumbles here and there, and that is why he's facing a bit of an uphill struggle in the championship. But at the moment, he's got his eyes set clearly on number 13 there, Richard Blunt. They come around Gracelands further back. That's Nick Williamson in 3rd. He's now going to have some company as the Sheriff is going to try and go around the outside. Now he does have the more nimble machine. That R6 all the way around the outside there. Oh, he has to sit up. And Nick Williamson, I'm not even sure Nick knew he was there.
But they are great machines, as you know. I mean, you used to have one, Steve, and they're a fantastic thing. And on a circuit like this, you're nearly as well off on an R6, aren't you?
Yeah, you're not going to get the full advantage of the power on this circuit, but as they come across the line here, Richard Blunt is doing his best just to hold on to Rob Wilson. There's not a lot in it, but Rob Wilson now trying to show the front wheel. Blunt didn't see him coming. Blunt took his normal line, so Rob Wilson is going to have to try again. He just had to shut the throttle off there. to prevent himself from getting wiped out. Here we go up into Dean Hairpin, this double apex left-hander. Blunt looking comfortable. Rob Wilson in second place, now trying to close up. They come into Yentwood. From here on until the end of the start-finish straight, this is where Wilson seems to have a real advantage. As we look further back there, Chris Spink, number 42, is up ahead of Jamie Hitter. That's for 9th and 10th overall. Jamie Hitter 5th in the class, and so is Spink. There is number 13, Blunt, still holding on to this lead. Not sure, you know, that Richard's actually got a pit board, so unless Rob Wilson shows his front wheel to Mr. Blunt in the next moment or two, Richard will have no idea that Rob's coming, but he might do in a moment, and you can just see the front end chatter there of Rob Wilson. Had to brake hard right at the end there to prevent himself from wiping out the race leader, and there's not long to go here, and I fear that Rob Wilson has run out of time. He has a big look over his shoulder there. What's happened? And Rob Wilson maybe running into a bit of trouble here in the closing stages of this race. So here comes Richard Blunt then onto the start-finish straight. Just a couple of laps left here, and Blunt still has no idea of Rob Wilson's whereabouts, and he's taken a couple of tenths out of Rob Wilson there. Rob looked like he had a problem or something into the final chicane. Can he catch up as they exit turn 1? Look at the speed that Rob Wilson is carrying there out of the chicane. Come up to the hairpin here. This double apex left-hander called Dean, and look at this. That is unbelievable from Rob Wilson. He has managed to catch up Richard Blunt so quickly as they go into Yentwood and then up towards Chapman Curve. This is a part of the circuit where Rob seems quicker than Richard, but there's no clear overtaking place.
He's on a mission.
Into Piff Paff, and then we come around to this wonderful left-hander at Gracelands. There's a short stretch down to Tarzan. Now, this is an overtaking opportunity if you can get it right, but Richard Blunt at the moment, you can see he's taking the racing line. He has zero idea, and here comes Rob Wilson. He almost wipes the pair of them out. Unbelievable. So, well, if he didn't know about him, he does now. There they are, going down into the Brook chicane. It's a left, right, left. So Rob Wilson really needs to line himself up to get supreme drive onto the start-finish straight. Not long left. He has a little look up the inside, but they're going to go onto the start-finish straight, and they're going to have a dress rehearsal, I think, for the final lap. Here we go, and if this was the final lap, what a final lap that would be, Sid.
Yeah, there's your last lap flag indeed. You're right, Steve. Fantastic. I mean, look at this. This is great racing.
Rob Wilson has made that great move, stick into the chicane, and now he's going to have to take a defensive line into Dean. Now, that might not work out for him when they come to exit it. What a move from Richard Blunt, and he says, have that, Rob. What a move from Richard Blunt there. He's been leading most of the way, in the very moment that Rob Wilson shows his nose, Richard Blunt bites back. What a fabulous move that was by the championship leader as they head down into Chapman Curve again, and now into Piff Paff. Well, they both know that each other's there, their gloves are off, and it's a fight to the line, and Rob Wilson is going to have to really produce the ace from his sleeve, because as they come now down into Tarzan any second, this has got to be a good solid...
Richard's pulled a pin as well, Steve.
He has, but Wilson's going to have a look up the inside. He's left it late.
No.
And he's almost run out of room. Blunt has bitten back. Well, he just couldn't make it stick. It's not over yet. Here comes Rob Wilson. He's got a trick bike, you know, Rob. That bike is quick. And he goes up the inside of Richard Blunt, and he's gone straight on. He's gone straight on. It's not enough. And today, well, he stays on the bike. What a final few laps that is, but he just could not deal with Richard Blunt. He went up the inside, but he couldn't hold on to it. He looks round. What a race. Richard Blunt takes 25 points. And do you know what? That'll feel really good for Richard Blunt. What a psychological advantage.
Steve.
Brilliant racing.
Great race.
From these two Kawasaki's. And here's confirmation then of the results. Blunt wins it from Rob Wilson. Adam Sheriff does finish third. He wins the Super Sport ahead of Lee Longdon. The pair of them get their noses in front of Nick Williamson, who finishes third in the Superbike class. Third in the Super Sports goes to Rick Owen. And then it's Everett in seventh ahead of Spink, Hitter, and Andy Chalice in 10th. The points then heading into Anglesey. It's not over yet, but Richard Blunt still has the decent advantage there in the points overall. Nick Williamson third, then Chris Norris, Ian Simpson, Plain, Everett, Dieterman, Sean Goldsmith, and Lee Reevely, the reigning champion, in 10th. Well, there is the 600 podium. Let's catch up with the Super Sport winner.
winner of the Supersport race, Adam. A really good race for you there. It was close all the way. How did you find it?
It was good, right to end. It was good. I just couldn't keep up with these two in front, and when other lad made that mistake and went on, it just getting me really third. But first overall, that's what I needed. It don't matter where I come in Superbike, so I really enjoyed it, yeah.
A good result. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Earls Leathers, Silklin Oils, EBC Brakes, Nitro Helmets, my wife and kids again for coming and helping me. Couldn't do it without them.
Well, what a fantastic race win that is for Richard Blunt and his girlfriend.
A winner of the race overall, Richard Blunt. Just tell us about that last lap. That was something else.
Yeah, it was pretty hairy to say the least. I knew throughout the whole race that they were going to be close behind me, and I knew Rob would be biting at my heels to have a dive underneath. And he got me into the first corner, a bit late on his braking, missed the second corner, managed to get back underneath him, and then I could hear the bike hounding me from behind. And it wasn't until the final little flip-flop and took an inside defensive line, and he decided to take an even more defensive line and ran on. Otherwise, it made it a hell of a lot harder onto the start-finish straight. So yeah, it was nice and easy.
I'm sure. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, massive thanks to Eric Equine Motorcycles, who helps us prep all the bike, Portico Sport, and Phil Martin, who's helping out this year, Rock Oil, my father and all the team, and DP Telecoms for all the help. So yeah, massive thanks to everyone, and Roger Newell also for the new leathers. Hopefully next time we'll see at Pembury or wherever the next race is. Right.
Yes, that's actually going to be Anglesey, Richard, but never mind, we'll see you there. Coming up then very shortly, action from the Super Twins. So here we are then, it's time for JHS Racing Super Twins and F400s here on Thundersport Naked +1. The Plus, of course, bringing you action from the Golden Era Superbikes and the Super Twins. On pole position there, David Allingham, and then Ross Twyman. There's the young Scotsman, reigning Super Team champion Lewis Rollo, and Ben Luxton on the JDF 450, who's enjoying his best weekend of, well, probably his young career so far. Second row there is the championship rival of David Allingham on the blue and yellow Kawasaki 650. That's Daniel Freer, but he didn't get off to a very good start at all, and it's going to be Allingham that has the advantage on the Beemore Aprilia. White and red fairings for the Super Twin races, and then he reverts back to the standard black for the 450s. Steve Day here alongside Thundersport Sid. David Allingham, what can you say about this man? I'm running out of superlatives for this season.
He's class of the field, he really is, and he is a wise head on young shoulders. Having said that, he's already said he thinks he's being too kind to everybody, so when he was on the podium earlier this morning, so we'll see if he's a bit more aggressive.
I've got to say, I absolutely love that comment, from David Allingham. I think I've been too kind as he heads into Anglesey with the opportunity to actually win the championship. He's got such a commanding lead, and I'm sure that would have quite annoyed the majority of his opposition. I've got to say, though, it is nice to see that Lewis Rollo is back on the form that we saw him on in the Aprilia Super Teens last year after the knock to the head at Donington. It's great to see Ben Luxton really improving as a rider. He's taken a lot of confidence, and it just goes to show you, if you string a couple of results together, look what it's done to him. He's up there in second place, number 9. Lewis Rollo is number 8, the young 13-year-old Scot. And then that's Ross Twyman in 4th place, who, as I've mentioned many times before, when Ross wants to do it, he can do it. It's just a matter of which Ross Twyman will turn up on what day. But David Allingham, throughout that entire season, a bad weekend for David as if he finishes in 3rd. That is the situation. That is why he has such a decent lead in this championship, and of course in the Aprilia 450s overall as well. And you know what, he deserves it. He's had a couple of seasons of major bad luck, big time injuries, some big crashes throughout seasons that has hampered his progress. He was forced out of the championship effectively last year when Callan Cooper won the 450s because of a big crash, and he missed a few rounds. So maybe this is the Irishman's year. A bit further back you can see number 66, Daniel Freer, the more experienced rider on the Kawasaki 650. And the difference between these Aprilia 450s and perhaps the Kawasaki 650 of Daniel Freer, Sid, the 450s are the more nimble and lighter machine, and the 650s perhaps just got that little extra grunt and top end speed.
Well, the 650, SV650 is basically a road bike, but obviously it's been turned into a super twin, which is a new class for the TT, as you know. But obviously the RRV 450 is eligible for this class. Now, I mean, they're well down on power. I mean, a good super twin, with the correct amount of money spent on it, can make up to 100 brake horsepower. Okay, Dan's probably isn't anything like that. It's probably nearer 80, 85. But, these Aprilias only make 65 brake horsepower. But of course, as you say, they are kind of a GP spec machine, and they're very, very nimble. Weighing only 114 kgs, they are like riding a 250 GP bike.
Yeah, well, Daniel Freer there just moves up ahead of Ross Twyman, and it seems the story of the season, all season long, has been the fact that Daniel Freer has had to cope with life, with these teenagers nibbling at his heels at every single round. So there's still a couple of rounds to go.
He's not that old himself, of course.
He's no, I should just mention that he's what is he, about 28, 29 himself. He's not exactly geriatric, but compared to some of these 15 and 16-year-olds he's racing, well, he's probably had enough of most of them. Good effort there from number 28, Keenan Armstrong, with a bright yellow helmet, a rider that's improved considerably since the start of the year. He's obviously picked up a bit of confidence. Alex Baker is just a couple of places further back. And then Harry Coomber, number 61, and not quite in the shot yet. Harry Coomber, what a difficult season it's been for young Harry. Such a talented rider.
It's been too dry.
At the start of the year, even in the dry conditions, he was on it. He looked like a championship favourite. Then he had so many mechanical problems where he didn't even get a single lap in, I don't believe, at the last event.
Does your confidence.
And it's just such a shame for him, because we, of course, interviewed him at Donington Park as the championship leader. We thought it was going to be between him and the likes of Allingham, but unfortunately for Harry, it's looking like a struggle to even finish in the top three overall.
But he'll be okay. He'll be back. He's got, he's a good lad. He's very keen, and he'll come back. He's okay. And this is a real tough class. I mean, everybody needs to remember how tough this is. All equal machinery near enough. And obviously, Dan is no mug, as you know. I mean, most of these guys are pretty much on it. So you can be, I don't know, quarter of a second off the pace and find yourself 10th or 12th.
Further back there, you can just see a bit of a mini-twin battle developing there. Number 44 is Lee Wainwright leading the mini-twins, having a decent tussle with Reece Hutchinson, number 48, and 67, Gideon Thomas. They're on the Aprilia 450s, and then just behind them is number 91, Dave Butler. He's currently second in the mini-twin. So this is a classic example as to the differences between the mini-twin and the 450s, because they're all battling away. This is the fight for 9th, 10th, 11th, effectively on circuit. But Lee Wainwright there, the black and yellow, number 44, leading the mini-twins as we shoot back to the front of the race overall. And now there's a fight going on between Lewis Rollo, the young Scotsman, and David Allingham. And this has been what we've seen in the last couple of rounds. Lewis Rollo has got the bit between his teeth. He's got used to life on a 450. He's got used to the transition from the 125 Aprilia Super Team 2-stroke onto the 450. And there were questions asked, Sid, at the start of the season, because with the greatest respect in the world to Lewis, last year perhaps wasn't the most competitive Super Team championship. We knew that if Lewis Rollo was to really prove what he had to do it again in the 450s this year, and he's answered everything.
Without a doubt. And the thing is, I think they got off. Did he not get a win at Brands Hatch? I believe he did. Well, it was certainly right up at the front end, and they thought that it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to run off with this championship as well. Then he took a really, really big cuff and really struggled against a lot of these guys. But the catalyst for me was Cadwell Park. And he made the win, made it happen, and from there on in, the confidence just grew and grew and grew. Look how comfortable he is on the bike now.
Yeah, he's a very, very talented rider. I noticed that he had I think it was a Moto3 wildcard round at BSB Alton Park a couple of weeks ago. You want to keep an eye on that name, because it'll appear in the future. He's only 13. I think he's nearly 14. He might have even clicked onto 14 as yet. Either way, incredibly young, incredibly talented. And he's proven this year that he can cope with life in the 450s, just like he coped with life in the Super Teams last year, where he broke so many records in terms of winning races. He won more races in one season in the Super Team Championship than I've certainly seen in the last 5 or 6.
We've got to remember that his family are primarily responsible for this, because we see a lot of these kids are dragged up to, say, could say the higher echelons too early, and that's certainly not happened. And his dad Barry wanted him to go step by step. He recognises that he's only a young man, and he wants him to learn his trade. He knows the consequences of it. It's very good to see this, and it's the same with all these guys. You know, when these guys do finally move on to a 600 or whatever they go on to from this particular class, from the Super Twins and the RRV 450s, you know, it makes a big difference. You can see that they've had a lot of racecraft.
But you're looking here at the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. 5th, 6th and 7th, and it's being led by Ross Twyman. The yellow helmet there in the background in number 28 is Keenan Armstrong, and then that's Alex Baker, number 22. Alex, who is out there on the Red Blade Racing Aprilia. He's having a good round here at Rockingham. He's had a couple of other decent rounds spread out over the season. The 400s, we haven't seen too much of them in this race so far, but there are a few Formula 400s out there to keep an eye on. We lost Ozzy Mady, championship leader, on the opening lap. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully he's up and okay, number 75. But it's Joe Sheldon.
I saw his green wool leathers behind the tyre wall, actually.
But it's Joe Sheldon Shaw that leads overall, number 10. Joe Sheldon Shaw, son of Glenn Shaw, who used to race in the Thundersport GP1 class. And also out on circuit there, we've got Adam Goodyear, Rob Pragnell. So 400's having a bit of a run out, but there's Alex Baker. He's made another place up. He's moved ahead of Keenan Armstrong, so now he moves up into that 6th place. There's Ross Twyman, number 15, having a little nibble at number 66, Daniel Freer, who's not been able to keep up with the likes of Rollo, Allingham and Luxton out front.
Ross is great on his day. I mean, look at he had a great weekend, didn't he? At which one was
Donington
that?
Park.
Donington Park, indeed. How could I forget? Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a weekend that dreams are made of. 7 out of 8 race wins, I think. It was an unbelievable performance from Ross. He's not been able to match that since, and I suppose one of the downsides to performing so well in a weekend like that is the expectations rise, and you become a championship rival overnight, and he's just run into a bit of bad luck at the wrong time as Ross. And there's been a couple of rounds where perhaps the bike has let him down, and then maybe his confidence hasn't been quite there. Either way, Ross Twyman is the real deal, so don't count him out on his day. We've mentioned 1,000 times before, he really can do it.
That was close, actually.
Look at the front though, this is the riding style, the brilliant riding style of Lewis Rollo, your race leader, as we look back to Cameron Lee there, number 58. Cameron, another rider that is come up from the Super Teens. He's been immensely frustrated over the last few rounds with the way that the bike's been handling, but he's having some fun out there with 61. There is Harry Cooper, we mentioned him earlier on, and George Stanley. George, who's new to the class this year, he's getting used to the 450. He also won the Riders' Rider trophy at the end of last season in the Super Teams, and that's a trophy that's awarded, basically the votes are counted up by fellow riders, and the fellow riders of the Super Teams voted him the Riders' Rider, so he's obviously a jolly nice fellow.
Well, he can be very funny, and to be fair, the lad's got a lot of talent, and he'll be okay. He will be okay. Another Barry, I think, his dad, and he's a nice chap as well. All very nice chaps in this paddock.
Lewis Rollo at the moment is your race leader. There he is, number 8, the young Scotsman. So we've got a Scotsman, an Irishman and an Englishman in first, second and third.
And of course, this is Lewis's own bike. This is the one that he owns. The one he races in the RRV 450s is the
That was a bit close there. Allingham went up the inside, but he's drifted wide.
He said he wasn't going to be nice.
There's Ross Twyman. He's pulled out of the race. So Ross Twyman is out. He's been having bike problems all weekend. But there was a good move there at the front. David Allingham managed to get his nose out there, but Lewis Rollo said, no, you don't. And he's pushed forward. So there he is, Rollo, Allingham and Luxton. Luxton's not out of this just yet. He's sitting pretty in third place. They're coming to put a lap on Talon Skeels Piggins. And a bit further back there is number 89, is that? Yes, that's Gary Rimmer, another of our mini-twin riders, currently just ahead of Talon Skeels Piggins, and they are about to be lapped by the race leaders. But Rollo came under a bit of pressure, but he answered Allingham immediately.
Yeah, they're about to lap Rimmer. There's a puff of smoke there out of Rimmer's bike.
That was really dealt well there, did Lewis Rollo. He got through the back marker, he's gained a couple of tenths and he's got a decent advantage as they come onto the start-finish straight. The checkered flag is out and that's 25 points to Rollo. He was, a few questions were asked of him there, just into Dean Hairpin, but he came back with a bang. He's taken the win. He takes it ahead of David Allingham. Ben Luxton is third, Freer fourth, Baker fifth, Armstrong in sixth place ahead of Harry Coomber, George Stanley, Cameron Lee and Reece Hutchinson in 10th place. So Daniel Freer, the only rider in the top 10 that isn't on an Aprilia 450. These are the points heading into Anglesey. You can see there a 59-point advantage now for David Allingham as we head into Anglesey in North Wales. Ross Twyman third, Rollo fourth ahead of Luxton, Baker, Thackeray, Stanley, Butler and Thackeray. Jamie ahead of his brother Luke. So winner of the Formula 400s there. A good win for Joe Sheldon-Shaw.
Formula 400 winner Joe, a double win for you here today, an excellent result. How did you find the race?
It was really hard because I lost my knee slider on the first lap, so that was hard, and I didn't expect the first one, never mind the second one. Really happy.
A good result. Any sponsors to thank?
I'd like to thank Mum, Dad, family, friends, Milo and Taz, Les and Jane, Paul for lending me the bike.
And having filtered his way through a few 450s, the winner of the Mini Twins is Lee Wainwright.
Mini Twin winner Lee Wainwright, a really good result for you there, and you fought off Dave Butler, who's common on the podium, so a really good result for you.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. I had a few problems, but it's a pretty good job. Dave ran on really on the second to last lap, so that was handy really. Bit of luck. Yeah.
You'll take that trophy. Any sponsors to thank?
Massive thanks to obviously my dad, also B-Cell Racing, Dom and Jeff. Jeff's always believed in me, so it's happened now. Also, big thanks to Dave for the fiberglass, Mark Phillips and Mike Edwards.
The race winner overall, the Super T champion, that's Lewis Rollo.
And first position in the race overall and the Super Twins, Lewis Rollo. A really good result for you here, especially after Alton. You had a crash in one of the Super Twin races there, so it must be good to pull back some points today.
Yeah, I know. Well, unfortunately at Alton, me and Dan Freer came together, just racing incident, and then we came here and won the first 650 race, and then we've just kept winning them, and now we've got 4 out of 4, so we're just really happy with that. Bike's going really well, just everything's just went really well this round in the 650s, so hopefully we can do it again at Anglesey and hopefully the rest of the year.
You got some good points for the championship. Where would you like to finish the championship this year? What's your aim?
Yeah, well, bad luck at the start of the year's put me quite down the table, but I'm in 6th just now. I don't know where I am after this weekend, but I would like to at least maybe get a top 3 if we finish, but I think it'll be quite hard to catch David and Dan, because they're quite far ahead in the championship, but hopefully I can maybe catch them up and get a top 3 in the championship.
You're heading the right direction. Any sponsors to thank?
Just big thanks to Prentice Coaches for helping us out. All my sponsors, family, friends, supporters, marshals, Thundersport, everyone for good racing and just everything.
Yes, very well done to you, Lewis. Stay tuned, folks. Coming up next, the HMT Racing Thundersport 500s. Welcome back. Here we go then. Time for the HMT Racing Thundersport 500s, a championship that Adam Shelton leads. Number 61, there he is. A couple of new sponsors for this weekend. His championship rival there, number 100, Neil Bainbridge on the Hare Bulk Haulage Honda 500. We've got Richard Blunt on the front row as well. We saw him out in the Golden Era Superbikes earlier. And Kyle Smalley, number 69, on probably the brightest bike out on the grid. Couple of gaps in the field, a high attrition rate here at the Rock this weekend, and it's a bit of a shaky start there. And number 13, Richard Blunt, and number 100, Neil Bainbridge, almost knocked each other off, and that could have been a mess. There's a few riders decided to go straight across the grass, and a couple of them are actually experienced Thundersport members, one of them being Mick Riddle. So Mick's obviously decided, well, he is in the RAF, he normally takes the Crows route, and he's done it again. It's Adam Shelton that leads, Richard Blunt second, Neil Bainbridge third, Carl Smalley in fourth place. A couple of other riders going through there doing well. Adam Horton, Gareth Thomas, Darren Kay is up there. We've got a rider that's fallen just in the background there. Rick Owen, that might have been actually, number 35. I'm pretty sure I saw a glimpse of a number 35. This championship, Sid, been dominated by number 61, your race leader, Adam Shelton. But due to the fact that he's not finished a couple of races and Neil Bainbridge has been so consistent, it's still up for grabs as we see a bit of pushing and shoving going on there between Matt Shillings and Carl Smalley.
Yeah, well, it just shows you that consistency means everything, really. I mean, to be fair, Adam Shelton is the class of the field. You can't knock the lad, but, one or two DNFs, one or two didn't starts, specifically at Oldham with double points, cost him dearly, actually, really cost him. But it's good for us because keeps that door wide open to the championship. Neil Bainbridge, bless him, been mega consistent, and he could nick it. It's not beyond comprehension that he could just steal it. So he's got to stay on his game as Shelton.
Yeah, well, I think Bainbridge, all he's got to do is just keep doing what he's doing, and that's stay on the bike, because we just see there Carl Smalley going up underneath Richard Blunt and Matt Shillings, but then running into a bit of trouble, manages to slot in just ahead of Rob Morby. Expected to see the likes of Bainbridge, Morby and Blunt at the sharp end this year, but a couple of riders that have impressed me, Adam Horton, Carl Smalley and Matt Shillings, the three of those guys really have come on strong, especially the last couple of rounds where they're nibbling at the podiums. We saw great result for Smalley and Horton back at Alton Park, so nice to see some new names at the sharp end, as Shelton it is that still leads this one. He's already broken the lap record this weekend as Richard Blunt there, number 13, up underneath one of the youngest riders in the field.
Yeah, well, Matt Shillings, God loves a trier, and he's got to love Matt Shillings. I certainly do. The trouble is with Matt is that he was fast, fairly much out of the box, but he used to fall off. As soon as he took the lead, he fell off. And he seems to have got hold of that now, and he's really coming on strong. Typically, at the end of the season again, and then he'll have all winter to wait. But now I've got high hopes for Matt, and he's a lovely kid.
We hear quite a lot, this is the budget class of racing. Thundersport 500s, of course, used to be known as the CB 500 Cup or whatever it was. But I mean, exactly how cheap is it to race on these bikes?
Well, we've got subsidised tyres for a start, which are 160 quid a set, which is about half book if you incur the difference between those and, say, a GP1 or a 600 machine. And, these tyres can last 2 or 3 rounds, so that makes a big difference. I've seen these machines just recently up for sale, fully raced up and ready to go, full race package for £800 to £1,000.
Gosh, as cheap as that, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, and great camaraderie in this class, fantastic racing all the way through the grid. It really is a fantastic class, and I love this to bits. And you can see that there's a lot of rookies coming into it now.
There is, and this is the great thing about this championship. We don't get to see these battles too often, but mid-pack there's been some fantastic scraps, and we can see here from pretty much 8th down to 20th. Gareth Thomas, Darren Kay, Ben Bailey, Matt Snow, Kevin Liddell out there, Ian Alkins, Alan Brookbank, Sam Smith, these types of guys, even Phil Doody himself, have all been embroiled in these fascinating fights for the remaining points all season long, but they've not been quite able to cope with the likes of Shelton and Bainbridge perhaps out front.
Well, I'm hoping to put that right, because coming soon is going to be some great stuff on Thundersport iPlayer. We're going to have a go at every every lap of every race, and so we should be able to include a lot more. Oh, and there goes somebody through. He's obviously not got his GPS set properly. It's an interesting line, I have to say, but yeah, we'll soon have that looking pretty interesting, I think.
Yep, of course, out here, as well as the normal championship that's being battled between Adam Shelton and Neil Bainbridge, there is the new Senior Cup Championship that was brought into action this year. There are a number of riders scattered about in this class. What is, this is the question, the actual age that you've got to be to become a senior? Because I'm pretty sure there's a few hustlers out there, Sid, but is there an actual specific age group that you have to be in?
Yeah, there is. It's really simple. Over 40. So,
over 40, okay.
Yes, and I mean, as we all know, life starts, well, I think life starts at 50 now, but anyway, that's another story. Yeah, it's good, you know, and I think it keeps people interested for a much longer time. It's also, you see, this doesn't break the bank, and this is the crucial thing, as you mentioned earlier, with it being budget racing. I mean, no racing is cheap, we know that, but this is as cheap as you're going to get. And if you really, really do wreck the bike, then you just go and buy another one. Simple as.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about this is as well, we see a lot of riders, and especially super teens, coming into racing for the first time, and they might not necessarily be the biggest talent in the world, and the parents are struggling to fund the Aprilia Super Teens. What a great option this would be. I mean, we've seen that Matt Shillings did it.
Well, or they might be the greatest talent in the world, and they can't afford to buy an RRV 450, which is the next progressive step, or you know, that battle of the ethos when you delve into 600s. I mean, you know as well as I do, Steve, we've been there and done that, got several t-shirts. It's very expensive.
Well, I think Adam Shelton is a great example here, because Shelton started life out in the super teens. He struggled with finances for a long time, managed to get a bit of money together to come racing in this budget class 500s, and guess what's happened? He's winning races, he's picked up more sponsors. So from here, Adam Shelton might even be able to get the money to go on and race elsewhere next year. He's certainly talented enough to do so, and guess what? The very fact that he's so quick, he's been breaking lap records, and because of the very kind bike insurer, the prize money that's been up for grabs for the lap records, he's picked up a lot of checks for £500 this year. And that, in a class like this, goes a long way.
It certainly does. It pays for your racing in this class. Unfortunately, I mean, both he and his dad are very well aware the huge chasm jump expense-wise when you leap into another class, particularly 600s, which you might think is the next progressive step. So you do have to think about it long and hard. Some people will be happy to come into this and stay here because this is fantastic racing. You can come and have a great weekend. You have the camaraderie, you have the great paddock friendliness and everything else. And it's like a huge community where everybody disappears like red arrows to all four corners of the country and then reconvene here once a month at Thundersport GP. But as you can see, I mean, they all love this. And if you look in Parc Fermé, there's every man Jack has got a smile on his face when they come in.
Well, in this race at the moment, Adam Shelton is dominating. He leads a good 7 or 8 second lead. He's got over his championship rival, Neil Bainbridge. Sorry, we did have a Matt Bainbridge in the class. Neil Bainbridge, who's second, and he's just stretched away from Matt Shillings, who's now involved in a lonely race. But this is the fight for 4th place that you're looking at the moment. Number 53 there, Rob Morby, the leader of the Senior Cup. Up the inside there is number 69, Carl Smalley. Good move. And then there's number 13, Richard Blunt. You'd have seen him out. He is leading the Golden Era Superbike Championship. The rider there with the Puma leathers. And this is the fight for 4th that you're looking at. It's a good battle going on.
Well, I mean, Adam hasn't stretched away like he has done in some of the races, of course. I mean, these guys, although they're tripping each other up, and Rob doing a fantastic job there, has to be said, someone who just wants to come back and have a play, used to race quite a lot. But yeah, these guys are doing really well. Absolutely fantastic racing.
Well, you say Rob Morby just wants to come back and have a play, but he definitely wants to win races.
Of course he does,
he's certainly used to racing at the top end of club racing. Back in the day on a 250 GP bike, he was mustard. As we see now, Adam Shelton, who first burst onto the scene at Thundersport GB in 2008. He was known as the Stinger. He had the black and yellow wasp wheels on his Aprilia, and showed us what he could do against the likes of Wayne Ryan and Fraser Rogers at Cadwell Park, and then sort of struggled to get the finances together. Popped in to this class a couple of years ago, didn't enter the whole series, but just lost out in the end in the championship to Andy Lawson. And then he's come back to compete the whole season this year. And at the moment, things going his way. He does have the advantage overall. But as Sid mentioned, we've still got 3 rounds to go after this, and Shelton will need to finish pretty much every single one of his races still, because when Neil Bainbridge isn't winning races, he's finishing second.
Well, it's a bit of a shock, actually, because, I mean, if anybody who's been and watched these, and you do get a good audience, nearly all the paddock come out to watch these guys, because it is such fun racing. And, you know, I mean, Adam Shelton has been mighty in this, absolutely mighty. And when you look at the point standings, it is a shock to see how close Neil Bainbridge is to him. Okay, I don't think anybody else is going to catch those 2 guys, but and there's a bit of a battle for third, but you know, it could go any way you like. You know what this racing game is like.
Yep, certainly do. As we can see here, a decent battle going on a bit further back. It's 32, Mark Wiley, and we've got Sean Seymour involved as well. There's Alan Brookbanks, number 48, and Ian Alkins, number 6, number 10. Also in shot there is David Blakey. He's just being lapped. Further ahead, 36, Darren Kay. Having some decent battles out there with the likes of Gareth Thomas and Ben Bailey. Matt Snow is in the top 12 as well, but Shelton, a 1:35.2 is his lap time at the moment. That is, well, that's smashing the lap record that belonged to Adam Clark.
Somebody stopped there for a burger.
Yeah, there is a rider that's pulled off over at the top near Dean. That's Kevin Little, I believe, who's come out of the race. So he won't play any further part. A few different lines further back going on.
There are some interesting lines in this particular series.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Perry particularly sporting the most interesting one there. And Mark Halsall. Orange bibs, for those of you that don't know already, for rookie riders. And there is 42. Perry at the moment ahead of Halsall. That is for the remaining point, you know. The last point, 15th and 16th place, as we see number 70 and 99 going across the picture. Matt Snow and Ben Bailey, both inside the points. And Matt Snow in particular looking to pick up some points in his rookie season.
When you take into consideration this used to be the CB 500 Cup back at New Era when they were still going, you know, and that got down to about 8 bikes in the end before we rebundled it as kind of Thundersport 500. And then it's just, I don't know, it's just captured the imagination of racers, you know, both past and present, and suddenly we've got these full grids.
Well, I think you're being kind. I mean, the class was dead on its feet. There was nothing left of it. It was going to...
Oh, look at that.
Backing in there from Shelton here, and he's won this race in fine style. There's no doubt about it. No mistakes anymore from Shelton. He's got the points in the bag, but this class was dead on its feet. It would have... There's no doubt about it. These bikes would have been parked up in garages, cobwebs, the lot. It wouldn't have happened at all, but great to have this class. And the first year, I remember in particular, of these floods of 500s that appeared on the grid, and since then we've had a very competitive championship, but at the moment Adam Shelton is looking to win it, and that's going to help him immensely. 25 points to his name, another win in the championship, and he's leaving a big blackie on the circuit, but Shelton takes it from Neil Bainbridge. The championship continues though. Shilling's third, gets himself on the podium ahead of Smalley. Blunt fifth. He wins, he's in fifth. Morby sixth, wins the Senior Cup. Horton seventh. Gareth Thomas 8th, Darren Kay 2nd in the Seniors Cup in 9th place in the points. As you can see there, as we head into Anglesey, a 48-point lead for Adam Shelton. That's not even a 2-race advantage as yet for Shelton, despite having won 80% of the races this year. Still all to play for with 3 rounds to go. Let's catch up with the Seniors Cup winner first though. There's Rob Morby.
500 seniors winner Rob Morby, yet again another podium here for you, a brilliant result.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I made best result overall in the first race today with the 5th. and a good win in the seniors again in that one. It was really good. I was hoping for a fourth at one point, but ended up sixth. So it was great racing with Carl and Richard. And unfortunately, on the last lap, I was the one to lose out, whereas in the one before I was won. So it was great. Fantastic event again by Thundersport. Can't say enough about the championship.
And how do you feel about going into Anglesey?
Anglesey will be interesting. I felt quite good there last year, but the second day was rained off. So I don't know. They're all different riders I'm against this year. Not all of them, but one or two. So it'll be interesting to see who learns it the best, because we've all only done one day's racing there last year. So I'm really looking forward to the weekend. I hope it's sunny. Nice to have been here and a good event. A lot of fun.
Let's speak to the race winner overall, the championship leader, Shelton.
500 winner Adam Shelton, another win for you there, and an 8.5 second lead. You're really pulling away from the lads.
Well, the tyres were pretty shot by this race, so I just thought I'd get it round. I had a bit in it, so just thought we'll finish the race. But yeah, thanks to Johnny Depot, Ashcourt, Five Ways, AGV. I'm really struggling to remember this. Caravild, Motul, and everybody else who's put in this weekend. Fantastic, really appreciate it. So thanks everyone.
Thank you as well, Adam Shelton, the race winner there from the 500. Stay tuned. Coming up next, the A&R Racing Street Fighters. Here we are at Rockingham then, on the iPlayer, Naked +1. AR Racing Street Fighters up next. There's Scott Adam, number 38, who's at the moment challenging the reigning champion, Reece Rothwell. There he is, number 9. These two riders been fighting it out all season long. There's Gordon Wright on the KTM Super Duke 990. His first ever time here at Rockingham. Of course, Street Fighter A's, the most capacity engine-wise. Street Fighter B's in the middle. Street Fighter C's the least powered, and the majority of the Street Fighter C's should be Supermotos that you'll see out there. Scott Adam with the better of the starts, and there's a rider that's going straight on, straight away. Not a great start there. Going to try and pick up on who that was in a moment, but can't quite get my eyes on it as they head down to the Dean Hairpin, the first turn here at Rockingham. And it is Scott Adam that leads from Reece Rothwell. In third place is Ryan Strafford on the Triumph, Street Fighter B, then Sheriff, and then that looks like Adam Palfreman. Dave Palfreman, sorry, I always get the two mixed up. Heaven knows why, they don't look like each other at all. There is Scott Adam though, and Sid alongside me. Scott, a welcome addition to the championship. Of course, his name's been in Thundersport for a while. He fought it out for the Super Twins Championship a couple of years ago. He's come into this and he really has dished up quite a championship threat to Reece Rothwell in terms that he's leading it. I mean, I didn't think anyone would be able to keep up with Reece Rothwell, and yet Scott Adam has come into the series and has really shown him a thing or two.
Well, he just needed something that he could come and put his own tattoo on, I think. He'll leave his own mark there, and this was definitely the thing. He's picked a bike that he can afford to run and ride, been very sensible, but he's streaking away with it a little bit. I mean, the thing is that Reece Rothwell is no mug, obviously last year's champion, and Reece is struggling to stay with him a lot of the rounds. He's trying his very best, that has to be said, but bless his heart. I mean, it's when Scott is on form, he's a job to catch.
Yeah,
you spoke about Dave Palfreman there, and it's probably due to the fact that both him and Adam used to ride just about every class that there was in Thundersport GB, about 4 classes each. But I was talking at Rockingham here to Dave, and he was just saying to me how comfortable he's been because he's reverted to one bike and one class. And it seems to have made a big difference to the way he rides, and he's a lot more chilled out of a weekend.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He was flitting in between this and the Super Twins, which is a tough class, the 500s as well, so maybe just a chance to relax. You're seeing here a battle between 57 Strafford and 911 Sheriff. 911, the Sheriff, well, he leads the Street Fighter B Championship overall, but certainly in recent rounds, Ryan Strafford has given him something to think about. Gordon Wright also in the mix on the KTM. Looks like he's odds on to finish in the top 3 of the Street Fighter A Championship. Dave Palfreman, also Street Fighter B runner. John Tomlinson out on circuit. Bob Docker, number 64, is the rider there, just coming through. The third man in your picture, there he is, up ahead of Dave Palferman. Further back, we've got Grant Newstead. Andy Driver out there on the MZ is leading Street Fighter C ahead of championship leader Keith Warren. We've got Duncan McMillan and Gareth Thomas out there also, Phil Page, Andy Castle, Rob Pragnell, Richard Harrison.
Good to see Big Dunk back, Biggles as he's known, because of he's a captain, airline captain, a fantastic guy. Can't make all the rounds, but very, very welcome addition to the paddock. Great to see Factory MZ Andy Driver out there, sponsored by Her Majesty's Inland Revenue. But no, it's very good. But you were talking earlier about Stratford and Sheriff, you know, and Sheriff has very much become Stratford's nemesis. I mean, they race against each other in this, and they just want to really beat each other, and then they resume it again in the Golden Era Supersport. And you know, I mean, Ryan has actually beaten Adam on a few occasions, but you know, Adam Sheriff 911 still has the upper hand at the moment.
Yeah, I think more recently is where Stratford's posed a bit more of a threat to Sheriff. Sheriff is looking odds on to clean up in this championship. He's been far more consistent than Stratford, but certainly they'll be fighting all the way till the end. You just see there Richard Harrison going through, the brother of Jonathan Harrison, who actually won the first ever Thundersport 500 championship that we had here at Thundersport GB. Mick Riddle also out there, long-standing member of the Thundersport clan since 2008.
And of course, as you've said before, you know, he's a member of the RAF, and he's in the Combined Military Services Championship, sponsored by GB Racing and Isle of Man Race Products. And that's a fantastic championship, which is developing nicely now. Yeah,
well, it's nice to see the Combined Military. I mean, that's a championship that's fiercely fought as well. Make no mistake about it. The RAF, the Navy and the Army, they don't half like beating each other. They head down into Tarzan there. That's a good move from Gordon Wright.
Yeah, Flash there. He does struggle on the old on the Duke. It's a difficult thing to, the tractor as he likes to call it affectionately. He has struggled with it, but he's done really well. I think, you know, third is around where he's going to be with this. I think we'll see him on a new machine next year. Yeah, well, I've been very impressed with him. Certainly at the start of the season, he was fighting with these guys at the front of the Street Fighter A, and considering he hasn't seen half of these circuits before in his life, if he is able to come back next year on a more competitive machine, then who knows, maybe he can fight for a championship. Well, this was his first circuit last year, in fact. This was the first visit to Thundersport GB was here at Rockingham, and of course, this is a bit of a Marmite track. I think you either love it or you hate it, and you know, some guys really gel with this circuit and love it to pieces. Others just, it's one they've got to get through, you know. Well, one man that certainly loves it is your race leader, Scott Adam, and despite the fact that at the moment Reece Rothwell's got the fastest lap of this race, Scott Adam broke the lap record in a previous race and has kindly donated the £500 that he won from the bike insurer to Macmillan Cancer Support, a charity that Thundersport have been backing this weekend at Rockingham. So what a wonderful sportsman gesture that is from Scott. Fantastic. So thank you very much indeed, Mr. Adam. And of course, Scott is in one of those positions at the moment. If he keeps going, he could be one of the first champions. It's a race to become the first champion. It's funnily enough, Anglesey, our next round, is a circuit that we've notoriously always crowned one of our first champions at. So it's looking like North Wales, the destination to crown a champion or two. Will it be Scott Adam? We'll have to wait and see. One thing I am hoping for, particularly being completely selfish, Sid, is some decent weather over in North Wales, because in the 6 times I've been there, I think I've been dished up some decent weather twice in the first 2 years, and since then I'd rather be anywhere other than Anglesey. Yeah, I think we were burned to a cinder the first 2 years, and then we've been drenched and bladed with wind. Last year certainly we had to cancel the second day, unfortunately, which was a great shame. But I know Dave and I went up to Peel Corner, and were it not to being able to hang on to the course car, you know, the wind would have taken us both away. Just seeing Grant Newstead going around there. Talking about circuits, I want to talk to you about this circuit in particular, Rockingham, because as you say, it's not everyone's favourite. I mean, it's one of those circuits that, of course, was built in the early noughties
and it's been labelled as a white elephant in terms of, because I think it's because of the giant grandstands that surround the circuit that are very difficult to fill, and the fact that BSB don't come here anymore. I mean, it's still very popular, and the circuit layout has been, given the thumbs up by most of the riders here.
Yeah, and we've got the circuit certificate by the ACU now. Ooh. Steady on, Andy. And it's a very good circuit, actually. I like this particular configuration where we use part of the start-finish straight, the chicane leading into it. They have a lot of corporate events on here. Fifth gear user. The place earns money, make no mistake about it. Strangely enough, it has just been sold to new owners, and they are very keen to do more stuff with it. So I think we can expect good things. One of the great things is they're very enthusiastic and keen to bring Thundersport here. So it's one of the reasons why we like it.
Yeah, I think that part of the attraction of this, the circuit layout is great. A lot of riders give it the thumbs up. Of course, it might not look the prettiest of circuit because there's a few cones here and there's massive grandstands alongside, but you're not going to be able to fill them. But it's one of those circuits where if there were maybe, I don't know, if it was anywhere else and there were conifers surrounding it, everyone would be raving about it. I think that the grandstands in particular are the one thing that everybody sort of looks at and has the most beef with, shall we say?
I think cardboard cutouts is the answer. Full of cardboard cutouts of people. I think it would look lovely.
Well, my silence should be a good enough answer to that. Sid thinks maybe cardboard cutouts, or maybe we could just superimpose people into the grandstands and see what happens.
Now you give me something to think about. You mean on the videos? Yeah, why not? Like they do on PlayStation.
Well, either way, it's nice that Rockingham will be staying on the Thundersport calendar for next year. It brings a different variety to the championship, that's for sure. It's not like any other circuit that we have on the calendar, and that is the great thing about Thundersport. We never go to the same circuit layout twice. So if you are a bit of a circuit specialist, then this is not the right championship for you, because you've got to have a bit of variety about your riding. And this is not like any other. It's the only anti-clockwise circuit on the calendar. In fact, it's one of the few anti-clockwise circuits in the whole of the UK. So nice to have it on the calendar, and it does throw up a few different results here and there. Not at the moment, though, for Scott Adam, who leads Street Fighter A. Not for Ryan Strafford, who's just about winning the battle in Street Fighter B. You're seeing here, Factory MZ rider, number 88, Andy Driver, who's actually 10th overall in class and leading Street Fighter C. He's no doubt going to head onto the podium and put on that Robin Hood hat. I've still not asked him what that's all about as yet, but
I think it's a gay thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and his boyfriend Keith will have his pitboard out in a minute.
Well, I'm glad that you said that on air and not myself. But I'll let you settle that one at Anglesey. But Andy Driver at the moment got the better of Mr. Harrison, number 48, just trying to pick him off. They're not in the same class, so effectively it doesn't matter. But of course, they do all score points collectively as well. So every place counts in this championship. And Andy Driver, for an old boy, he's pretty good, isn't he?
I think he's brilliant. Nice guys. Help us at Thundersport GB quite a lot in the scrutineering bay, or technical control as it's known now. Really nice people. To be fair, all the people in our paddock are lovely. It is a great atmosphere, and you need that kind of feeling when you have like 300 riders plus, or 300 teams. You're upwards of sort of 1,700. 2,000 people in the paddock. You need people who are going to behave.
Well, yeah, Scott Adam is certainly a character, and he looks like he's set on his way to get another 25 points and extend his championship lead. There's Strafford just putting a lap on Rob Pragnell, and there is Scott Adam, the overall race winner. The 25 points goes to him. He takes the win in Street Fighter A's ahead of Reese Rothwell, and Gordon Wright finishes third in class, but he's fifth overall. Strafford and Sheriff third and fourth. That's your top two in the Street Fighter B's. Dave Palfreman sixth, John Tomlinson seventh, ahead of Bob Ducker and Grant Newstead, and Andy Driver finishes in 10th place, and he wins Street Fighter C. Championship points overall heading into North Wales. A commanding lead now for Scott Adam. Reese Rothwell has got one final chance at this. He needs to make some points up in North Wales, otherwise he'll kiss goodbye to the championship that he's defending. Winner of Street Fighter C, then there he is, Mr. Factory himself, Andy Driver.
Street Fighter C winner, Andy Driver. I could tell you really wanted that. 2 wins this weekend in 2 seconds. Not a bad result to come away with.
I had a bad race at Alton where I threw away a 11-second lead, so that cost me 55 points in the championship. So this weekend was damage repair, so we pushed on and we got 2 wins and 2 seconds. Got pole and also the lap record, I hope still. So I'm really pleased with that.
What a package.
Yes, yeah, ticked every box this weekend, so I'm really pleased.
Any sponsors to thank?
I'd like to thank MC Technics for doing the suspension, which has transformed the bike, Martin at Slipstream for the engine, and Keith and Phil for helping me in the garage, and Stuart. So yeah, thanks to all of them.
Winner of Street Fighter B, a very happy Ryan Strafford.
Street Fighter B winner, Ryan, a good result for you there. You managed to hold off the Sheriff.
Yeah, he pushed really hard that race. Right behind me, I was just getting plus zeros up until probably the second to last lap. Couldn't pull the pin anymore, getting big slides from the back end. So, no, hats off to him. He's raced really hard this weekend. You know, we're absolutely brilliant that we've come away with 4 wins. So I can't say any more than that. It's been fantastic.
Really good result. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I've got to thank Paul and Marie at Access Drilling, the lend me the van, and obviously my bed for the weekend. Scott, FB Motorstore, and everybody else that's really helped. My dad again, you know, he's worked tirelessly, so brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
And now let's catch up with the race winner and championship leader, Scott Adam.
Street Fighter A winner, Scott Adam, a double win for you today, pushing the points up in the championship. A really good lead for you.
Yeah, I must be, I think it's close to 100 points now, so I'm really happy with that. It's a clean sweep this weekend. Said earlier, I like the track. Managed to get off the line quite well that time. I've been struggling to get off the line and everyone's been duffing me up into the first bend, so I managed to get out in front, ran my own pace, and I knew he was there, Reece was there, they were thereabouts again. But just managed to hold him off, so yeah, clean sweep, really happy.
Nothing more you can say than that. A really good result. Any sponsors to thank?
Just all my usual sponsors. I mean, I'll give them enough mentions, but also want to thank Jade, my daughter. She's been here helping me all weekend. The Mrs. Emma and my little and Lauren sitting at home. They was up here yesterday and had a really good day. And my dad's here today, and his mate Pete and friend of mine Steve. So yeah, just thanks to everybody for coming. Really making it all a good weekend.
Well done. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Well, that's it from Rockingham for another year. Join us again next month when we visit North Wales and Anglesey. We'll see you then.